So how did we get to this point? This is the front end. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the tables that are involved. You can easily add a table by clicking List and Tables and clicking on the blue plus, but what we're going to do is we're going to modify the project table. So we find our table, we double click, and we're going to create another column. So we click on the Columns tab, and then we're going to click on the blue plus, and we're going to create a test column, which is just basically going to be a text field. You'll see though from the drop down list that we can have quite a wide variety of fields, some of which have rules in place. So the likes of email will force that it has to be an at and an IE, simply for a website. But once you've got this saved, or once you've got it entered, you can just view it, and you can see we're into the list. We can then double click, we're into the form, and because it's part of the project details, there's our test value, and we can now type in our test piece of text. And it's as simple. By clicking on the pencil, we're straight back into the designer mode, and we're into the columns. And to delete a column, you click on the red cross. There's several warnings, and you can actually leave the column in the table if you need and remove it from the metadata. In this case we haven't. We're now adding a foreign key to the company table. So we choose the table, we type in the name of the field that it's going to be, and then by default it puts in a label. So then when we view the record, again we go into the form, and we now have a company drop down just at the top, and it has a link through to all the other companies, and we can click on that. And it's as simple as that to add foreign keys. Through the designer then you have the ability, as you can see, to add in other columns, add in foreign keys, view foreign keys from children. We can create groupings of tabs, which are here. So now if we go in, you can see across the top there's our project details, which have sub-tabs. We also then can come in and we can add in any triggers, any rules on any behavior rules, any business rules, and any actions. And in this case the action is to invite the attendees. This is where we can set up any parameters, and we can then set up all the steps for the rule. As you can see then, we can make the action to be, in this case it's an update of the information, but it can be inserts, deletes, and you can choose the table that is involved. And this is the editor for the rules for the various actions. And you can see then we can pull back any information related to the tables that exist. Once the actions have been saved, of course, then you can also add in additional drill downs, which are not necessarily related directly to the tables. It could be based on queries that are in the system. Within the menu groups, you can add in the different subfolders that appear under the application. Then we have our list of tables, and then we have our list of values. And this is an example of a list of values. Next, we're going to set up a query. And there's a variety of types of queries. So you go into queries, you click on the plus, and you can see them. We can choose a variety. You could choose dashboard, you could choose likes of Gantt charts, maps. Typically though you'll choose SQL or wizard. So what we're going to do in this case is we're going to create a wizard query, and we're going to base it on the project table. But what you'll see with the wizard, you have the ability then to link through to any table based on the foreign keys and the primary keys that are in the system. So by clicking on the project, you can see there's all the related tables through the foreign keys. By clicking on them and then by ticking, you then have the ability to get at any of the fields associated with that table through that link, and you can see the field that it's using by. And you also then get at their tables as well. So you can add in whatever number of relationships as required. Now by default you will find that these are inner joins, and you'll see when we go to the table tab that they're all inner joins. Now we will change these to left joins because there is no actual relation or data in there to pull back in the query. You can add the fields by just clicking to say retrieve, and it will add the field into the query automatically. for each field. We can also put in different calculations. We can decide should they be visible, whether they're frozen columns, whether they're summable. Next, we're going to change the joins from inner joins to left outer joins because of the fact that there's no data in there. So this way we'll actually retrieve something, and then we're going to view the query, and you can see then we have some data where within that, because we have the foreign keys, we have the ability to drill down automatically. So we're going to drill down to the contact and that's based on the foreign keys. So we're back into the design, and then you have the ability to put in parameters. Again, you can put in various rules, but in this case we're going to put a parameter in to say we're going to filter by project. We're going to choose the field. We're saying it has to be equals, but it can be alike. We're choosing the field to be the ID of the table, in this case the project table. So then whenever we go to run this report or this query, we will now be prompted for choosing a project, and all the values will be limited down to just that project ID. Now that was an optional parameter, so we're going to change it so that it's a mandatory parameter, and we'll just scroll across and there's a tick switch to say mandatory, and we'll tick that. And by doing this, then when we run the query this time, the end user must choose a project, whereas before they weren't able. They could have not picked one. Finally, we're going to go into the security aspect. So we're going to create a new user. You must give them a username, a login, and an email. You should mark them as active. The details then of what they have access to are usually determined on a group level. So once we've entered the basic information, we choose a group that they belong to, and then within the group we're able to determine their access rights for the menus. So if they get access to the different menu groups, we can also determine which tables they have access to, if any, and within the tables we can determine what rights they have, with those rights being like whether they can insert information, delete information, whether they can read records, import. We can do the same for queries, and we can set the values in bulk. There's an action to allow you to do them globally for your different records. So as you can see, there's quite a comprehensive security model, because we can even bring it down to field level security.